2023 has been a year that Bob Iger would love to forget because after coming back and making his return as CEO for Disney, it's been one of the worst years in the history of the company. On its 100th anniversary, no less. The same year that Disney should be celebrating a century of this company. Instead, people have been pointing and laughing at how far they've fallen and the disasters that we've seen in the wake of that. Disney's 100th anniversary has been a box office disappointment. Will 2024 be any better? Well, based on what we know, they're not going to release as many movies in 2024, so at least they probably won't lose as much money. But as it sits, we are looking at a year where Disney had some of the biggest flops in the history of cinema. Disney had 5 of the worst flops in all of history in 2023 alone. The Marvels is just one of many. And we're looking at something. When it comes to the Marvels, this is a movie that could potentially lose $300 million. Right now, it's barely projected to crack $200 million at the global box office for a movie that had at least a $300 million production budget, a $100 million marketing budget. That is a nightmare scenario. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Remember all these headlines that we saw all year long, whether it was Disney's the big loser of summer 2023, examining its $900 million worth of box office disappointments. Dial of Destiny, again, a movie that in all likelihood lost $250 million, if not more, maybe 300 when it's all said and done for Disney. One of the biggest cinematic flops in history, not just Disney history, in the history of cinema. What about earlier that year? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's box office is really the MCU's worst in 12 years. Another MCU movie that lost money. This is back, February when this got released, and some people were like, oh, it's just a bump in the road, no worries. Well, that was not the case. It was not just a bump in the road. Haunted Mansion flopped at the box office. Little Mermaid, a massive budget, and that was a disappointment. Lost money for them. Even something like Elemental that people like to point at and say, wow, it had a great run. That lost money at the box office. It did have a great run, great legs after a miserable opening, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a movie that probably needed to hit around $600 million to break even and couldn't crack 500. Look at this. The past year, just look at some of this stuff. Not even counting Strange World, right? Let's not count Strange World at the box office, which was a miserable failure. Let's just look at 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania needed about $600 million to break even, got $463. Guardians of the Galaxy is the only thing that Disney can look at and argue that that was profitable. That had a break-even point of probably around $800 million, and it did crack that. So congratulations, Guardians of the Galaxy. Little Mermaid, break even of about $700 million, maybe more, ends up with $568. Elemental, $600 million break-even point, couldn't reach $500. Dial of Destiny, with what we know about the budget, which it could be higher, with what we know about the budget, the estimated break-even's like $900 million. And it makes $381. Haunted Mansion couldn't even reach its production budget, barely cracked $100 million at the box office. Now The Marvels, which is on pace to just barely get over $200 million, that is a movie that in all likelihood needed to get at least around $800 million to sniff a profit. And now, of course, we have Wish. Wish is tanking in its second weekend at the box office. We don't exactly know what the overall run is going to look like, but once again, considering it's something that needs to make $600 million to break even, it would be lucky at this point if it gets half of that. And people are pointing and laughing at all of this. Disney bleeding hundreds of millions of dollars. You cannot underestimate the impact that this has had on this company. Hundreds of millions of dollars lost on all these big budget movies. Only one thing they released this year you can argue that was profitable in the box office. And of course, all of this is happening in the midst of Bob Iger and Disney getting called out by Elon Musk, as canceled Disney Plus is trending, for the past couple days, as people are pushing back at Disney for what looks like an appear to try to censor or control what Elon Musk is saying by threatening these advertiser dollars. Considering they thought that 2023 was going to be the turnaround year, hey, box office is back, baby. We're not going to be able to blame anything on COVID anymore. Well, all of it's come crashing down because the reality is Disney is a terribly managed company. The budgets are out of control. And when you combine that with the fact that what they're making is dog shit and the fans have walked away because they're tired of being preached to, it's all a recipe that culminates in disaster, and that's what Disney has been. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.